What's going on, fellas? This is our Muffin, leader of Affliction, and today we have a new video, and it's going to be about runes. Okay, this is a topic that is going to need multiple parts, multiple things. I can't. I mean, I honestly, I tried. I tried to record a full video, but for how much detail is required, you just can't do it in one video without making people want to snore. Um, the division of it can be difficult, so I'm just going to try and do it into parts. Okay. Today I'm going to talk about what I keep and what I don't keep and a little bit on my rules. Past that, that's about as far as I'm going to go. I'm not going to talk about the sets or anything like that. Because things can get complicated. Let's just say that. Runes are the key to the game, though. But before I do that, let me back up a sec. So, I'm going to touch on this. I'm not going to get into it too much. But we did leave the infinite and probability community. Bottom line, I just didn't agree with a lot of the decisions made. You know, honestly, I was getting into it a little bit with members, and really the only reason that was happening is because you can't tell things in text channels. I can't stand text channels because the things I write in Word can come across as harsh sometimes if you don't know who I am and you don't get me. I'm usually fairly sarcastic, and if I say something harsh, it tends not to be that case. If I'm angry, you could tell. That's pretty obvious. But having a text channel, you just get so much drama. There's so much more drama when you have text. There's so much more there's just so much loss of communication. You can't have proper conversations in text. Text is a quick thing that you send back and forth. Beyond that, I just don't see the point in it. So, I mean, if you're going to have a really serious conversation, call someone on the phone, guys. I mean, seriously. But anyhow, that's how I am about it. So, that was one thing. The second thing was, I think, just the direction of where things were going. There was a lot of things I just didn't agree with. And it was a lot of it was me. But my vices and leaders also agreed. The guild just didn't do a whole. My guild didn't do a whole lot with the infinite and probability community. Most of the infinite and probability community is more on the casual side and uses line, whereas we're only on Discord. And honestly, I like the concept, but I don't like the concept at the same time. It's really cool that you get a huge community of people where they can just talk freely and do stuff like that. But when you're trying to be more serious, that kind of setup just doesn't work as well. You kind of want to have more structure. You want to have better leadership. And I think all of my advice, everything I was trying to do, reflected on catering to that. And that's difficult when the rest of the people don't want that because that's not what it was founded for. It is kind of what I gathered. And I respect that. But we need to leave because that's not what we're trying to do. You can't have a serious branch of a casual thing. It's just not. That's not how it works. This is not like a competitive Call of Duty team or something like that. You know, we're not trying to make an organization. And a competitive Call of Duty would have an organization anyways, right? Like if you're gonna have a team, they're gonna have an organization around it or something like that. You can't have a team with just a bunch of casual people. Anyhow, I'm going on a completely different tangent and rant. Bottom line, I respect the crap out of some of the leaders. I think they're awesome. We didn't see eye to eye and everything, but I still respect them. I wish them the best of luck. I wish all of y'all in the infinite and probability community the best of luck. I was in it for around a year or so maybe. I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot. I've met a lot. You're more than welcome to join our Discord still. You're more than welcome to... I don't want to say join my guild because that sounds like I'm taking members, and I'm not. I'm not trying to at all. But you're always welcome to join our Discord and talk with us and still chill with us. We're still friendly in that manner. We just don't want to associate ourselves with the community in general. However you want to take that. So, wish all the best of luck, but let's get into the video. For my phone, again, for not clicking it, just won't. I don't know. It keeps shutting off. It's weird. But anyhow, okay. So let's talk about runes. Runes is one of the biggest, most complex topics you can get into because there's so many different combinations, so many permutations, and so many different things that you can do with runes. Runes are the key to everything. How you rune your monsters, how you think about runing your monsters, that in fact turns into how you play the game, how you progress in the game. You know, it's just everything. When I poorly manage my runes, my progression was low. When I better manage my runes, my progression was faster. I farm faster, I farm more focused, I farm better, I hold better, my mana's better, I can plus 15 my runes more. I mean, I've just been playing the game 10 times better since I cared about my runes and really focused on what I need to do and how to rune monsters and stuff like that. So I want to share what I've learned to hopefully help you guys progress. Okay? So first thing I'm going to talk about, part one, what do I keep? What do I keep versus what do I not keep? Okay? That's today, and that's it. We'll make other ones, but today that's what we're going to talk about because I don't want to make a 50-year video on runes in just one scoop. There's just so much details that would be lost. So, what do you keep? Well, it depends on what stage you're at, and it can be difficult to make these guides because different people have different qualities. Now, a lot of the people that make these guides are late game players. Okay, I consider myself mid to late game. I can complete everything. I'm slowly starting to speed stuff up, but I'm not at like S level quality in rifts. You know, I only run single damage. Like I'm basically moving though towards late game because I can do Necro consistently. I can do R5, and I can do the Fire Rift Beasts A level. And once you can complete PvE and kind of think about PvP more, that's when I see you as late game. And I'm moving to that stage. I'm like in the transition phase, right? I'm making more Guild War teams. I'm doing that. So pretty soon I'm going to start considering myself late game. I think once I can clear S level, like I can actually clear the Fire Beasts, I'll consider myself late game and all that. Like all the element beasts. But anyhow, a lot of the people that talk about runes are like super late game, so their qualities tend to be high. Mine are high as well, actually, but I have specific rules and sets that I follow. It's my kind of code, if you will. It's my personal thing. It's how I view the game. Take it as you will, modify it, make it work for you, but this is how I am about my runes. So, I'm not even going to get into plus 15, plus 12, anything like that too crazy. Just what do I keep and what do I not keep? You're going to keep runes based on where you are and what you're trying to get. When you're super early game, a 5-star rune is amazing. A 6-star rune is even better, and it's like the holy mecca of everything. Okay? When you're mid game, it's like you get a little more picky. When you're late game, you're hopefully more picky. So to explain runes real quick, let's talk about the slots. Slot 1 rune. There's two main types of monsters, okay? I know there's a bunch of like subgroups and all that, but if I talk about that, it gets way too complicated too fast, and today is the introductory video. You have a support monster, you have a damage dealer. Damage dealer is going to be something like Zaros. It's going to be something like Sigmars. You're just trying to put out damage. Pretty simple. A support monster, you're trying to support your team. Jasoon, a healer, a cleanser, a reviver, anything like that. Support. Okay? And I think about the runes in those boxes. So if I have a damage dealer rune, there are 4 things you care about late game, and there are 3 things you care about early game. Late game, attack, crit rate, crit damage, and speed. When you get even more late game, you start thinking about attack and speed. You start thinking about grinds and stuff like that, but that's not today either. But early game, speed's not as important because speed gives you more turns in PvE, which speeds up your runs. But early game, you're not going to have the kind of speed or the damage output to really start worrying about speeding up your runs too much. You need to be able to tank. You need to be able to finish the stage in a timely manner. Okay? And when you're thinking about your runes, that's what you really need to think about. Okay? So slot 1, you can have defense in this. So support, speed, HP, defense. HP and defense early game. Defense is even more early game because you're going to find more defense runes, usually. I don't know why it works that way, but it just works that way. But HP is considered more the desired substat. between the two, like HP and defense. It goes speed, HP, defense, but HP, defense, and then speed when you're early game. More late game, you worry about speed more. Okay. So when I'm thinking about what to keep and what not to keep, I got to think about the sets. And I'll very briefly go through the sets. I don't want to get into them too much. And then I will think about what are the possibilities? What can I get? Okay. 1, you can't have defense in subset. 3, you can't have attack in a subset. 6, you can have anything in a subset. So you got a 6 or 5. Sorry, 1, 3, 5. This is 5. Slot 5 Rune can have anything in the subs. You can have anything in your substats. Okay, very important. Slot 2, 4 possibilities: speed, attack, HP, defense. Slot 4, crit damage, crit rate, attack, HP, defense. Slot 6, attack, HP, defense, resistance, accuracy. Okay. In general, any player is going to tell you to auto sell a resistance slot 6 Rune because you can use endure, and resistance is not that important in the scope of things. It is the least important substat in the game. Now, a lot of people are going to go, they might go crazy about that, but that's kind of true. Out of all the subsets, that's the least desired. Okay? For damage dealers, it goes attack. Then it goes late game speed, like I said, then crit rate and crit damage. Now, crit rate earlier is more important. Crit damage later is going to be more important because you're trying to put more damage on, and you basically just need to have you have the rune quality to have a decent amount of crit rate to where you're putting down your crit damage. The reason crit rate is more desired early game is because if you have 40% crit rate and you have a slot 4 crit damage rune, okay, you're only going to be putting on that crit damage 40% of the time. So you're not even going to be using, you can't have consistency with that. When you're early game, a crit rate slot 4 is more wanted because you will have consistency. At least you won't be putting 180% of your damage, but you'll at least be adding on 90% of your damage, right? Or 50 or whatever it is. You're at least adding on that percentage in damage, and then you get your crit damage in your slot 1, 3, 5, maybe 2 and 4, or 2 and 6, right? So you have to think about it in that manner. And the opposite is with crit damage. You're getting your crit rate in slot 1, in the rest of the slots. Okay? So that also plays in. Now, HP percentage slot 6 runes are very difficult to find. You just don't find them that much because there's 5 possibilities. Okay? And HP is more desired. Same thing with defense. Defense is less desired, but you'll probably find those more. But, HP, like I said, is a little bit more preferred. Attack percentage slot 6 is hard to find. So if you find an attack percentage slot 6, what was that? Attack percentage slot 6 rune, you're probably going to want to keep it. Okay? Slot 2, speed for specific units tends to be more desired. And then it goes, it also depends on the set too. Okay? So, let me talk about the sets very quickly. All right? Energy, 100% support. And also keep in mind you can do broken stuff. So don't just, if you have a really good rune, example like this could be a good rune. Don't sell this because you could use it in a broken manner. Just because if it's really good and it's on a it's on a set you might not use. Early game you want to keep that more. Late game you still want to keep it because you might do broken set or reappraise. That's also a possibility late game. Guard, 9 times out of 10 is going to be early game. Early game support. Hybrid means it can go either damage or support. Early game Swift tends to be more support. Late game you might use it more damage because you have to have specific requirements. Okay. Blade, damage. Rage, damage. Focus. Hybrid, more on the support side. Endure, hybrid, more on the support side. Support. support. You don't even need damage endure. Fatal, damage, despair, 100% hybrid. You can go CC more damage. You can go CC support, but it's for CC type comps. You are trying to get a stun. That's how that works. AoE monsters use despair. Okay. Vampire, late game. Gonna use vampire for very specific units. So, and maybe early game, the only time you're gonna use vampire is like Famon farming. That's it. Violent is gonna be hybrid. You can go either way. Nemesis, you can go either way as well. This is a super late game type deal though, because in Violent you're trying to get multiple turns, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's Violent's like a key set for a while. It was like a huge thing. Nemesis is 100% PvP, trying to throw your enemy off. You're trying to cut. You're trying to screw up their speed tuning. That you don't care about that until you're like late game, because enemies aren't going to be speed tuned early game, and it just doesn't matter. Will, same thing. This is trying to throw your enemy off. You're not going to use Will on a super speedy type monster, really. Because if you outspeed your opponent, basically you use Will as like a safety cushion for what if in PvP only. Okay, if you're using Will early game, why? Honestly, I don't understand why. Because Will early game is like, what do you need the Will for? The only thing you need is for PvP. Because PvE you're not gonna one shot anything. You're gonna have to deal with multiple turns. The first turn of you having immunity is not, the dragon is not gonna outspeed you. Okay, Will is only to counter outspeeding with debuffs. That's it. It's to throw your enemy off. Shield, support. Revenge, hybrid. Destroy, probably the most unused, one of the unused like core dungeon rune you can get. It's going to be like tanky bruiser defense, where basically you're putting damage and you have enough tank to finish it out, and then you like have some sort of way to keep healing yourself, so you're just bruising the enemy down. But you're not going to use that early game. That's like super late game, like destroy Rune or something, like something impossible to kill, where it just really messes with your enemy, but it's the most unused rune in the game. Fight rune, adding extra damage. I only see this in late game AOs where you have a monster that doesn't have as much. You have a monster that doesn't have as much rune requirements, and you're just trying to add more damage to your other monsters. So like Lucian, that's like, I use it on my Megan. So like my Megan will give more attack percentage to my Lucians, and then hopefully do more damage with them. It's only 8% though. It's not like insane. Termination. I don't ever see this used, but it's adding ally defense. Endure, HP, never see it used. Accuracy, same thing. I just don't see this used. Maybe if you're trying to add like, only way I could see this used, like let's say I have Aquila, and once again, you either have amazing runes on a good support monster, or you have like average runes, but the requirements are just low. So like Aquila doesn't need that much. She only needs, like Aquila and Galleon, they don't give you a buff, so you only need a certain amount of speed, and then you basically have like HP and speed and maybe a little bit of extra attack. So like I could see this maybe with a Zeros with Aquila, because you would have the accuracy, and then you add a little bit of XG to Zeros to do debuffs. Like that's about it, because Zeros is more of a damage dealer type monster. Tolerance, the only time I ever see this is in R5, where you're trying, because you need 70% resistance, so you're trying to lower the requirements. All of these are lower requirements on monsters. That's it. You're just trying to lower the requirements. Maybe on attack percentage, you're trying to add more speed, so you lower the attack percentage requirements. But that's it. So let's talk about what I keep based on all of that, because I know this video is starting to get long. So for me, I look at this rune. Okay, my rules are on a slot 1-3-5. If I have to think. Okay, am I going damage healer? Am I going support? Which hat do I have on? Okay, I'm going damage dealer. This is speed and crit rate, so it's going to be damage dealer, right? It's Despair, which is a hybrid. It's got 5 speed, 5 crit rate. It's a 5-star rune. For me at my stage, I will only accept a 1-3-5 with 2 desired substats. Speed is like pretty desired, like that's pretty desired, like super desired substat at my stage, right? So it has speed and crit rate, and then they have to have plus 10 in both. It's either plus 10 in both or plus 15 in one and plus 5 in the other, equaling plus 20 in percentage in general. That's my way to manage my runes. Everyone's going to have different ways to look at it. You know, 5, 10, all that. That makes it easy for me. And that's kind of the rules that I made for myself. So it has 5 speed, 5 crit rate. I could get, and the reason I only keep this because it has 5 and 5 is because, don't quote me on this, but I think this is right. In 5-star runes, the max you can get is 7%, and 3% to start with. So it goes 3 to 7. For speed, I think that goes 3 to 6, but maybe 5. I'm not 100% sure. I know that it changes. This is stuff you can like look up. But in this rune, basically I know that if I want to get to 10 on speed, I need a lot of speed to begin with. And if I want to get to 10 on crit rate, I still need a decent amount of crit rate to begin with. So if I have 7, this could be really good. If I only have 3% crit rate, I have to get a max roll in order for it to get to 10 or whatever it is, 4%, whatever. If it's a low percentage, I have to get a high percentage roll, and I have a very low chance of doing that. So for me, I'd rather sell it. Now for the plus 15, it's about the same concept. So 5 has just been a good number for me because it has 5. I either roll high or decently, like above average, and then it's a good rune, or I roll below average, and I just sell it. So that is my notion with this type of rune. Green, okay. This, it's about the same concept. It's got 6 and 5, except when I look at 2, 4, 6, 6-star runes, it's got to get 10%. It has to have a desired subset first of all, so it has like speed, okay. So I have speed and attack and crit damage, but just speed and attack. If I just had speed and attack, I'd still keep. It's a 6-star with speed and attack. Let's say I have 10% after I roll an attack. I keep it. Might even plus 15 it. Okay. Attack percentage slot 2 is going to be the same thing. So like, I don't have any. Let me see. Crit damage though, like anything like that, 2, 4, 6 are always going to be the same. It's got a desired substat and a desired main stat. If it gets enough in the subset, I'm going to keep it. Now on a 5-star rune, the difference between 2, 4, 6, 5, and 6 stars is more different than a 2, 4, 6, 1, 3, 5. Because if you plus 15 a 2, 4, 6 crit damage, it goes max at 65% crit damage for a 5-star and max 80%, a 15% difference between 5 and 6-star. So that's why 5-star substats have to have better stats for me to keep it. So it's plus 15 in 1 or plus 10 in 2 substats for 2, 4, 6 rune. Basically, I'm treating it like I would for 1, 3, 5. Okay. On plus 6s, it's different. Or 6-star runes, I only need 1 because I'm getting the maximum speed or the maximum attack percentage when I plus 15 that I possibly can get. So that's how I view that, and it's the same thing with HP and defense. Okay. Now, some things to keep in mind: you can't have attack percentage in slot 3. So speed, crit rate, and crit damage. So if you only have 2. You gotta think about it in a little bit different manner. You might decrease how you feel about it a little bit more. A little bit of HP doesn't hurt. You really just gotta think about the runes. So like, let me just show you some runes I've kept on my stage. So let's see. This rune, HP percentage. It's got 8. It's 5-star, but it's got 5 speed, at least 5% defense. Keep it. See what rolls with it. This rune, If you get a 6-star 135 or 246 or anything, 6-star legend and a desired substat, mid late game doesn't matter. If it's desired or if it's either desired substat or desired, it's a legend and a 135. Doesn't even matter if it's desired. Then you can. Those are the runes that you can reappraise, and that's more mid to late game concept as well. Early game though, like, would I keep this rune? Yeah, because maybe you get amazing HP and you still have HP and defense. Like, let me show you an early game rune I kept. This is a rune on plus 15 early game. It's just got HP and speed. Slot 6 runes with HP are difficult to find because there's only 5 different things you can get with that. There's 5 possibilities and 5 in slot 4 and 4 in slot 2. So the amount of HP percentage you can get decreases, right? If you get a percent. So with all that being said, the last thing I want to say is, what areas do you farm and why is it so important to farm those areas? Everyone is like, oh, GB10 stinks. I don't get any good drops on GB10. The runes you get and the mana you get is just slower. Well, GB10 has the most sets, desired sets you're going to want. As the best sets in the game for like most of the game. Okay? GB10 energy. Energy is an early game thing. Speed though. Swift, that's a early, mid, or late game thing. So Swift is like something you're going to use in all aspects of it. Doesn't matter if you're early or late game. Blade, same thing. But you might use Blade less in late game because you might have will runes more. But in order to have good will runes, you're going to have good quality. So Blade's a great damage dealer rune all the way up for a very long time and still in late game. Fatal, attack percentage. I mean, the only time you're going to be using Rage is late game as well. And people will say, oh, but I want to get MB10 to get Rage. But you have to have good enough Rage runes to even put it on your monsters. You're probably going to have better Fatal runes than Rage runes. I still don't have all my monsters on Rage runes because I put more damage with Fatal actually than I do with Rage because I don't have as good of quality in Rage. Okay? Because, yeah. Despair. Same thing. You can use that early or late game. CC of any sort of nature with AoE. So that's why GB10 has the most desired. You have 2 late game, early, late game, whatever. You have 2 sets that are 4 sets, or like 4 runes to complete the set of GB10. So you should farm GB10 the most. It doesn't matter if you're early or late game. GB10 should always be the most farmed, in my opinion. Okay. DB10. Let's look at DB10. Guard runes. Could use early game. Using that on support type monsters. Only support. Don't really see it late game. But more early to mid game. And maybe mid game. Focus. Don't really use it a whole lot. Endure. Don't really use it a whole lot. Those are maybe like R4, R5 type things. Or like maybe mid-game PvP, but pretty niche, and you're not going to use it a whole lot. Violent's a good set. That's why people like to get the DB10. It's a great, when you're starting to get to mid-game, you're starting to try and do more in PvE, PvP, Violent's a good set because it can make things to be a little bit unpredictable, but that unpredictability can play in your favor because you might roll favorably and win something that you would never win. That's why Violent, people say Violent screws up everything now, but Violent is just RNG based. You don't know what's going to happen. Shield, probably more early, mid-ish game. Like, you got to have good enough HP percentage, but Shield's great. I mean, I use Shield. Double Shield will comps are amazing now, and that's a late game thing, so you can use it late game. Revenge, yeah, typically going to be more niche. Typically going to be more PvP mid game. But DB10's a good way to personalize and shift your monsters to be different. In GB10, you're getting the core. In DB10, you're starting to change it a little bit more for PvE, a little bit. You know, you need Revenge Runes for like R5. You need Violent Runes for like R5. You need Violent Runes for DB10 face. So you're starting to get some things of need for PvE, and you can also do a little bit with PvP. For NB10, that just completely changes the ball game. And with fight and determination, all that, like I had already said earlier, that's like super late game. Don't even worry about that early game. Fire homunculus, all the homunculus, like same thing. Don't even worry about that. Like I don't even have my water homunculus or fire, whatever it is. I don't have that finished yet. NB10 though, rage. Like I said, you gotta have good enough runes, and like you're not gonna farm NB10 as fast as you would in GB10. My GB10 is 40 seconds. My NB10 is 2 minutes. So I get 2 runes per 1 rune I get for NB10. And people say, oh, well, I want to farm NB10. Now, if you don't have the refills like I do, that could change things because you might want more mana out of your energy and you do get more bang for your buck. But in a non-free-to-play circumstance, GB10 is going to be more important. And GB10, I'm going to get more mana from doing GB10 is what I'm trying to say, because I'm farming faster and more efficient. But I am using more energy overall. So like it's not energy efficient, but it's like for mana, but it's time efficient. That makes sense. Vampire, I've already said that's more mid to late game. And maybe early game farming, but you're never gonna use Vampire in like PvE until speeding up R5 and PvP stuff. Wolverine's completely PvP late game. Nemesis completely PvP late game. Destroy runes PvP late game. I don't use destroy at all. Do not have a single monster rune with destroy. So anyhow, this video actually got a lot longer than I wanted, but hopefully this helps you guys. It gives you an idea of kind of my rules for runes. If there's different stuff you want to see, I don't care where you're from, please message me, comment on the YouTube. I really don't want a whole lot of comments, like I said, on the YouTube about the changes, leaving IIC or anything. If you really want to know about that stuff, you can DM me, but I would suggest talking to the other people in the community at best. Like, it's just not worth getting into again. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. As always, this is Star Stud Muffin, Leader of Affliction, and I'm out. Peace.